Welcome to the Cups of Consciousness show. I am Aleya Dao, your host. I'm a doctor of Oriental medicine, a sound healer, the author and founder of the 7 Cups of Consciousness. I have produced 9 sound healing albums and have recorded over 2,000 meditations online. I am an energy practitioner and help people shift their consciousness using their energetic fields. And this show is all about using your energetic fields to shift your consciousness, as well as exploring energetic concepts that help you create a more empowered and connected life. This episode is an energetic session that explores concepts, energetic practices, and protocols that are similar to a prayer, which help you transform particular aspects of your life. When you listen, recognize that some part of you is using your energetic fields to shift your vibration, which in turn shifts your consciousness, your behaviors, your beliefs, how you react and respond. You might even go into an altered state, so use caution if you're driving or doing something that requires a focused mind. With all of this work that I present, remember that it is your energy shifting you in your own unique way. That way you stay in control and in power with your process. So take a deep breath in, pull yourself into your line of light, and explore your inner terrain in a safe and supported space. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Cups of Consciousness podcast with me, Aleya Dao, and today my dear friend Salo. Salo and I have known each other for I want to say 20 years, maybe a little over 20 years. Salo, welcome. It's such a treat to have you on the show.
Thanks, my friend. I'm so glad to be here and share this podcast with you today.
Me too. You are such an amazing being. You are so multifaceted, and I'm just going to share with our audience kind of your background, and then you can dive deeper into what has brought you to the place that you are at today. You are a doctor of chiropractic and a holistic healer for over 33 years. You graduated magna cum laude from the Life Chiropractic College in 1986. You established a very successful practice in Fresno, California, which is where I met you. And when I talk to all of the people that you've worked with over the years, there's this aspect, it's like this galactic aspect, this otherworldly aspect that you bring forth to your sessions, to your care, that helps people shift their perspective into a more empowered galactic soul view, which is so precious and so rare in this world. You're currently living in, I want to say it's Springfield, Illinois, and you moved there in, what year was that you moved?
2019 in May.
With tears.
Yes.
You're leaving.
Yes, I miss you. I miss you. I miss Fresno. It's so magical.
And now you're holding the lighthouse in Springfield, Illinois. And so I would love to just sort of hand it off to you and just whatever comes to share with the audience of your awakening experience, your sound healing. You have incredible tuning forks that I got from you years ago. You make organ busters. And so I'd love to have you start in sharing with people that enlightenment experience that you had so many years ago that also then helped me integrate my enlightenment experience that I had in 2001.
Sure. I had it in 1992 in July. And of course, I was a chiropractor for many years in Fresno, California. And I had one of my patients come to me and say there was a wonderful crystal healer in Fresno, California, and that I should go see her. And I said, I don't kind of believe in any of that woo-woo stuff, and I don't think it would be appropriate for me to go. But for about 9 months, it's almost like being in the birth canal, For 9 months, she bothered me. And finally, in July of 1992, I said yes, just to kind of get her off my back. And so I went to go see the healer. And she had me lay on this massage table, and she said part of the treatment was laying crystals from your crown chakra to your forehead all the way down to balance your chakras. I didn't even know what a chakra was. And so as she was doing it, by the time she got to my throat and my heart chakra, I started feeling like the table was vibrating, and then it felt like my body was vibrating, but she didn't have any machines on or anything. And I felt as if my body was like almost vibrating sideways. And it was like all of a sudden it just felt like this big whoosh in my body. And I actually physically heard a pop in the center of my head. And later on, when I figured out what that pop was, it's actually an activation of the pineal gland. The calcification probably broke loose, and those
Popped off.
crystals and that water there in the center of your pineal gland, which is your psychic centers, kind of came online because I actually heard my guides start to talk to me, and they were saying my first round of guides was named Ishmet, and he was from uh, a wonderful place in India, and he was talking to me. And at the same moment, I remember the healer saying, I said, young lady, you need to really tone your energy down because it's a little bit too much for me to handle. And I don't know anything about energy. And I said, well, I don't know what to do, but I have this little guy from India talking to me, and they're saying that you're having some problems in your relationship and that they can help you with that.
And you're
it
on the
was like
table giving
and
her
on the
a
table
reading.
and telling her what was happening, and it was reason because it was a past life occurrence that she had with her partner, and that this and that was going on, and that how it could be resolved, but if she was interested in it. And then she said, how do you know that that's so true? And I said, because I have this little guy from India wearing diapers telling me all this.
Wearing diapers.
And I said, is this part? I thought, because it was my experience in my first time, I said, well, is this part of the treatment that I'm doing right now and
Right, because
having
you
it
had no
happen?
clue. This was your very first sort of energy healing session ever.
Yeah, yes, ever. I didn't, my body was brought up Catholic. It's, now as a recovering Catholic, but
Recovered, fully recovered,
yes, recovered, yeah. And
empowered.
and so I didn't have any idea about that or psychic abilities, and so she said, no, I've been doing this for 20 years, and it'll probably go away, whatever's happening to you. And it never did. And
And
so,
it probably just got stronger.
well, it did. It was I remember leaving that session. When I walked outside, I saw all the colors of the trees and the auras of people walking down the street. And I would hear, kind of people's thoughts and things as I was walking past everybody. And the first place I went to was a little metaphysical store there in the Tower District. And I bought my first crystal. It was a amethyst cathedral. And because Ishmet said, you need to buy this, it's your friend and you need to name it. And I named it Ratatar. And he says it's really important because it'll help your energetic field. And I said, okay, whatever. And I thought, wow, I just carried that little cathedral home like a little baby. It just felt like, oh my goodness, it's the first time I felt connected to something here on planet Earth. And I went home to my boyfriend of 10 years. He was also a chiropractor, and we had our practice together and there. And so I looked at him. He was reading the newspaper, and I said, what would you do if I left? And he said, he was reading the paper, and he says, nothing, you can leave anytime you want. So I got on the phone with our broker that sold us our home. And I said, I want to buy a new house and I want to move. And, and he said, sure, I'll start showing you some houses. And so I hung up the phone and told my partner I was going to move. And, we went into the house together. I didn't really
And
have that
he
much
was
savings.
emotionally like totally like neutral, or did he have a little
He
minute?
was, well, he was neutral the first week because he didn't really believe it was happening. And plus I didn't really have the money for a down payment, but we went into the house together. And of course, with that moment of enlightenment, I just had this, all of a sudden, when you have this moment of trust and faith and hearing what your guides are saying to you, you just trust and you just know. And they said, oh, don't worry about it. You'll get the money. He'll give you some money. And he said, well, I'm not going to give you any money. And I said, well, my guys at Ishmet said that you would, so I trust that. And he's like, well, who's Ishmet? So he just thought I was like wingnut. So after a week, I found a house. I saw it, and then I put a down payment on it, and I moved out temporarily for 30 days while I was going through escrow. And about a week later at the office, he said, are you serious? And I said, yes. And it wasn't until the day that I moved out, he says, well, I'm not going to give you any of your clothes or your things. And I said, I don't want them. It's okay. I just felt like a different person.
Right.
And, if we wanted to go in deeper, I guess it's a lot more easier saying that that experience was a walk-in experience,
Mm-hmm.
where we call it a soul exchange, a vibration. That's a little bit different than the original soul occupant, and it is a contract, and it is an agreement. It isn't any type of soul possession or anything like that. But
Right.
um, to me, when I looked at them, I didn't really have any connection anymore.
Right. Right.
It
Well,
was
because
like,
you were a different being in the body.
yes, a different being in the body, a different driver in the car.
Yeah.
And so, um, so I did. And on the day that I signed escrow, I didn't have any money in my bank account. And our broker came right at the time I was going to sign the mortgage paper. And he presented me with a check for $17,000. And I went, wow, that's like having a lot of trust, right? And he said, he said, yes, your boyfriend of 10 years went to the lawyer and said, um, you're getting off easy because you could have a common law marriage with this woman and better just to pay her the money for the house. So,
Wow.
and I didn't even think about any of those details.
Right.
Talk about, putting out your intentions in the universe
Yeah.
and not having the details, just the intentions, and let everything fall into place.
But the key piece on this one, Salo, is you, with that enlightenment experience, walk-in moment, your vibration of you, the being, completely and totally transformed, completely shifted, overriding all of the previous beliefs, behaviors, programming, ancestral patterns. Your body might have still been having it, holding that, but you, soul rider, had such a harmonic vibration. On some level, you might have overridden or positively empathically impacted your body so that you were holding this incredibly coherent field, which then aligned you with your beliefs, not an ounce of doubt, because our beliefs are just a reflection of the vibration we're holding inside ourselves, which then enabled you to magnetically draw to you that reality. So sometimes people have this, I want this, but their vibration isn't matching it.
Oh,
And
and the vibration was there.
and the vibration was 100% there, and your physical dimension was the reflection of that. So
Yes, it
I kind of
was.
think like anytime we want something in the physical world and we're not being able to pull it off, we have to bring it back to how can I make this vibrational shift inside me? That's 1,000 times more important than whatever the attachment is externally. And you didn't have the attachment externally too. You were just like, well, it's going to happen. It's this inevitability.
Yeah, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And so when I moved into my new house, I didn't have a stick of furniture. I slept on the floor and with a sleeping bag. And I had a foldable chair and a TV tray so I could eat my meals. But, just with that experience, it was like, I don't know about decorating or anything because every time I had people over, they didn't have anywhere to sit except cross-legged gun on the floor. And they said, well, maybe you should get a few things. And I just really didn't. And that was the first thing that my guide said was, you need to get a TV and you need to watch HGTV. So you know how to decorate a home and get things kind of going.
Right.
And I did the best I could, except when the friends came over, they said, it's nice you got things, but I feel like I'm in a Motel 8 because I didn't know what kind of pictures to buy. It looked like they came from a motel because I went to the thrift store and I didn't know any better.
But then, but then eventually your living room started feeling like sitting in the center hub of a spacecraft.
Well, yeah, as soon as I got to my other house that was on Floridora in Fresno, yeah, I could feel exactly my ship above the house, the frequency, and they actually started transforming the hallway as a portal of an interaction of between here and there, and that's part of being we're striving for this new energy with the age of Aquarius
Yep.
is having that sense of multidimensionality
Right.
and to knowing that we can live in both worlds and to know that there's other paths and timelines and portals and experiences and that we are awakening that part of ourself that our light body and the balance and our intuition and getting things online that is happening. But we've had so much these kind of walls in the way on the grid system of the planet for many hundreds of years. And people that have been coming to this planet, be it the ETs, be it through walk-in experience, be it the star seeds, whatever you want to call that. And in fact, that's why I like light language, because it speaks to the soul without words. And words are so confining here. Oh my gosh, I do not get words at times, because it's just so multidimensional in
Light
pictures and
language.
symbols.
Light language, right? We can just bypass the 3D words to light language.
Yes, wouldn't that be nice? And that's why a lot of the ships, when they did capture them in the 40s and 50s, had the symbols, had the light language, had the sacred geometry.
Yeah.
It was there for a reason. And when I used to go to sometimes to Sedona, Arizona, and read the petroglyphs, I knew what they said. And I went out there exactly with the Hopi tribe, and I was reading the glyphs for them, and they said, "Oh my gosh, you are a record keeper."
That's
And
amazing.
and I was like, well, like, doesn't everybody do this?
No,
It's
but
like,
then
well,
in the balcony, your people are like, well, of course, of
of
course.
course, but we've had many experiences in my home in the hallway that you can actually feel
Oh
the
yeah.
ship
Yeah.
and feel the energy, and it's amazing to have that. And I would say is a quite difference of here than in Springfield. It's
But you have
it took time.
but you've built orgone busters that also really help level up the energy. Because Springfield, Illinois has a very different frequency than Fresno, California. But it was so interesting. And I just want to tell like a quick Salo story. So years ago, when I was driving from Santa Barbara to Fresno, and you were so gracious, you opened your doors, you helped me build a practice in the Central Valley. And every time I came, and I would drive certain streets in the Tower District, I could feel and see the streets that you drove because there were these grids of light and lines of light and sacred geometry at different like quadrants. And then I'd get on a street that didn't have any of that. And I was like, and I remember having a conversation with you and I was like, Salo, so that street, do you ever drive that street? You're like, oh no. And I'm like, okay, but do you drive this street, this street, this street? And you're like, yeah, 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 yeah. And I was like, I can feel it because you were working those grids. So kind of segueing Springfield, Illinois, that move for you and shifting the energy or bringing the energy. Tell me a little bit about that experience for you, because you and I haven't actually talked about that lately.
No, it was quite different because I've never been in the Midwest. I've traveled all around the world, and I've been to major portal places, like in Peru and Machu Picchu and Thailand, and to the temples. Uh, Nowhere like Springfield, Illinois. It's like, but Abraham Lincoln was a walk-in, and
Mm-hmm.
I think he left grids here because the first dream I had was Abraham Lincoln came into my dream time to said that he was here to set things, to
Wow.
work grids.
Okay.
And so we only live about maybe a half a mile away from his house, which is super cool.
Yeah.
But when I got here, my abilities in California, even as a walk-in or a spiritual being,
And highly
was more,
intuitive.
yeah, highly intuitive. I just claircognizant. I just know, and I'm very clairaudient. I
Yeah.
hear. And then if I think about things, visions, I can probably get movie things in my head about stuff, and my dreams are very prophetic and very helpful for me. But I was never a type of person that would see things physically until I got here. until
Seriously.
and until I actually got here. And the first experience was when I was staying at a home, Barbara's home, my partner's parents' home. When I went out early in the morning, I saw a man in a raincoat wearing a pork pie hat from the 60s. And he was very tall, and he looked like, probably just kind of thin. And so he looked at me and he was ready to knock on the door. And I says, "Oh, it's really early. They're not up yet. Can I help you?" And he goes, "Well, I'm here for William." And I said, "Oh, that's Bill. That's Barb's father." And he goes, "Yes, I'm here for William." And I said, "Oh, well, they're not up yet." And he goes, "Well, I just want you to give him a message." And he says, "Tell him that he needs to straighten up and fly right and get his
Wow.
act together." And I'm like,
Wow.
"What?" And so as I was walking towards him to the door to talk to him, he disappeared. And
You
I mean,
literally
he was
thought that
full
yeah,
body. I mean,
right.
he was full body to me. And I'm like, I've seen a lot of things.
You have seen so much, and you had that cool like ghost radio station channel machine that you would tune into the ghost. I mean, so you've heard it and felt it in the physical realm, but you literally saw him
Yes.
at the door, had the conversation, and then he
Had the
disappeared.
conversation and then him just disappear. And that was just one of those moments. I mean, even though I'm multidimensional, that it
Yeah.
kind of shook me up a little bit because I'm like, I just told Barbara, what kind of place is this? And she goes, it's an old place. It has history.
Right.
And so the next experience that I had with that was actually when we moved into the house and I opened up my curtains from my bedroom. And a lot of times they have a lot of Civil War enactment of, the Civil War. People dress up in clothes. They have their cookware, everything. And I'm thinking, I said, oh, wow, they're having a reenactment in our alley. And on one of our neighbor's property, he has an old farm.
Right.
And I thought, that's so cool. So I went and got my partner, look, they're having a reenactment of the Civil War stuff out right here. Maybe we should go down there. And she looks in the window. She says, honey, there is nobody there. And I went, uh-oh. I said, then why would I be seeing that? Is it my psychic eye? And she goes, I think so. And then she laughed and she said, oh my God, do you realize, Salo, the house that we bought is on the property of General Grant's infantry, where he had his infantry before the Civil War. Our property is actually built on that.
Oh
So I
my
think
God.
there was like a little time portal,
Or
timeline.
you were just seeing the people still there because they haven't
Right.
moved on.
No. And that happens. A lot of ghosts don't. And that's the thing
Right.
about ghost hunting or doing the box communicating. Sometimes they don't want to. And it's like
Right.
they're living their lives and they're doing their thing and they want to have their experience. And so I think as an intuitive, it's important to tune in exactly, what is it that you need or looking
Right.
for?
Right.
Almost like when you do a session, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what is it that this person's requests need to be
Yeah.
at? And that's the way I still handle ghosts is like, what is your request with that? Is there any, or do you just want to have experience? Because many times when I've been ghost hunting, in during the gold rush country in California, we went to the Jeffrey Hotel, and all the other investigators were going, oh, this is all demonic and they're all doing this and everything. And for me, I was looking at two teenager boys from like the 1800s wearing their suspenders in the corner laughing because they got a big kick out of scaring everybody, and they said like, shh, don't tell them. And I'm like, and they were like freaking out. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
don't go into fear,
Right. Right.
and so it's a matter, like all the ghosts are different here. I mean, I've been on walks and seen them on porches because the houses are very old, and
Yeah.
I love the structure of them, the history of it. It's just so amazing that we didn't have in California. I
Right.
mean, there's so many stories past each house that I take a walk with, and as I'm walking, I'm working those grids as you were talking about
Yeah.
in downtown Fresno because they need to be brought to having information, picking up stuff, helping balance it out to the point to where we are right now. We're at such a precipice of time
We are. Yeah.
that
Will you kind of
that
dive into that a little bit and tell our listeners like what's happening energetically from your perspective, astrologically on the planet right now?
oh my gosh, we are popping online. We are getting online with a new 5D energy. There's dimensions and there's density, and I like to look at density as consciousness, and that we're just expanding our consciousness in simple terms. And so we, with the age of Aquarius is more like before the power point of the planet was a regular pyramid, where the powerful people were at the top and the people were at the bottom. And my guide said now it's getting reversed, where it's for the people and not so much for a few people ruling the masses, but just the masses of peoples and consciousness. And with the age of Aquarius is an astrological sign, is very thinking, it's very mental, it's fast, and that's why we're having this wonderful AI coming in, and people are also having this sense of this division and fear of it, and it's about having this middle ground about it. But I think with this happening, it is propelling us forward into this dismantling of what we have, breaking down before we break through,
Right.
in order to have this new welcoming of this wonderful energy hitting the planet from, a 3D consciousness to the 4D consciousness to the 5D consciousness. And once we're in, and some of us are in the 5D consciousness and 6D and other multidimensionals, and paving the way to the clarity of our example, that if we can do it and inspire others, they can do it too. And from that, we are now graduating into a new galactic community, bringing heaven here on Earth. And now it's from the Galactic Library, not just the Akashic Records, but the Galactic Library that we are actually being welcomed into, like the whatever you want to call it, the Galactic Federation, something greater. And so we will be having this ET contact happening, which is now and over the next 5 to 10 years. And from that, it'll not just be like they're going to land here on the White House lawn and they're going to go to individual people. So pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to when you're out in the park and looking at others. You'll know people of like mind that has the same frequency as you in a way that like, wow, these are some of my peeps. These are some of my pod, my dolphin pod, because some of these people walking around, I think they're from Sirius, I think this person is a star being. I think this person is a walk-in. I think you'll start to expand your consciousness and thoughts to be a little bit more open to that, to be having that. And when you make that contact, then it starts with one person and then the next person. It becomes a domino effect, and it helps affect the grids, and it helps affect the whole planet that's going on right now. And the most that we can keep that vibration, that your own sounding note of your soul, as you say, your own tuning fork, and just letting that vibration vibe out. It's just such an amazing time that I'm just so thrilled about this contact. But the thing is, you have to like feel it inside, like you said. It's like you have to have that vibration. They're not going to come if you have fear or anxiety or stress or any vibrations that are not harmonious for their contact, because for thousands of years they're like, planet Earth was considered like Australia, where they sent their prisoners like to behave to go there. And that's why we're such a melting pot here on planet Earth. It's like Australia, and it's like, do you really want to go to planet Earth? It's like...
And from my perspective, we have like the baby soul that doesn't even realize that it's a conscious sentient being, spark from source, divine. And then we have the ascended master, or the PhD in consciousness, or the teacher of the PhD students, and the whole spectrum from the baby all the way to that high level of consciousness. We're all in one classroom. And that's so different because there's so many other places, from my perspective and my memory of other worlds that many of us are from. Our worlds have a similar consciousness. It's not this huge gathering of all of these beings from different levels of consciousness. And so then we come here into this world and everyone is different than we are. It's disorienting because it's very unlike home.
Definitely unlike home. I mean, it's, I wanted to keep, when I first got here, just that pure vibrational energy. And I was going to get rid of my TV and do all the things that, some of the spiritual New Agers were doing at the time. And I remember you telling me this, I never forgot. You said, no, you're not supposed to get rid of your TV. And then later on, my guide said, no, because you have to know what goes on here. You
Right.
have to know.
Like an education tool.
Education tool and a sense of connection, because if you talk about a TV show that someone's talking about to you, you have to relate to them to have that connection, because that might be their archetype of energy.
Correct.
Of what it is. And it really tells you a lot about that person. So like in sound session, then I'll know, oh, okay, well, they have this type of archetype of energy going on, and this is what they like. And so it really was very helpful for me to know about these shows. But I also I enjoyed them because the person that really taught me a lot about being grounded here, besides you, was Judge Judy. Because
I love it. So firm. So firm.
Yeah, firm. This is the way it is. These are rules and regulations, because there's consequences down here on planet Earth if you don't follow the rules and regulations about stuff, And I'm like, oh, well, there's consequences down here. Oh my goodness, So,
I mean, it taught you about human consciousness, or rather the human society.
Human society, which is right. And I know I just feel it in my body, mind, and soul, that by me also taking in through my visual acuity, that it was being transformed back to my people, or my pod.
Galactic
to where
Council.
that's at.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they were actually taken in, and it's actually in files of libraries there because my guides say that they are specialists in communication. They are specialists in knowledge and information, and that there is a particular planet that is very hot, but it's glass buildings that are the keeper of the knowledge and information from very vast experiences that we had because our planet kind of got blew up,
Mm-hmm.
and and so
Yeah.
they just get it.
Sorry, Salo.
You can tell them that story if you want.
Not
That's
today.
why what happens
I'm
when
gonna
you
have you back on the podcast and we can
okay.
keep going into
Okay,
more
that's a long
detail.
story, but it's a great story. And so we are the keepers of the information. So everything that I go through, and then of course my partner always loves making fun of me, saying, "Oh, I bet you they filmed that one what you did on the ship just now because that was hilarious."
Like
Oh
the
my
Truman
God.
Show. It's called
Yes,
the
like the
Salo
truth.
Show.
Yes, especially if I like something really well, like uh, 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 coming here, I like the Culliver's custard. I like to have that with chocolate on it. And I've never had that before, that Culliver's thing. That's really big here out in the Midwest. And so Barb always says, "Oh, we have a proud new sponsor for Solo's Galactic Light Ship is Culliver's."
I love it.
I
You
could see them
totally
wearing little
sound like Barbara
jumpsuits.
just said.
They're wearing
Oh,
jumpsuits with a logo on the back.
that's great.
So yeah,
So
it's been a
we just have a few minutes left, and I would love to have you share with the audience how they can find you, all of the things that you offer. We're in a new seasonal year, and I've done readings with you. I should probably do another one for this new seasonal year because you're so good at helping people reference their trajectory of like, okay, over the next 12 months, these are the things to focus on. These are the hot spots. This is how you could, kind of take a left and avoid that huge boulder or mountain. And so can you just share with people a little bit about, who you are, what you do, how they could work with you, and where to find you?
yes. Oh, I do spiritual readings on the phone all around the world, and we start with your numerology because that is an archetype of energy. And my guides have always said that numerology is done on all the planets. It is a
So
thing, it's a
cool.
frequency. It's like it's not just limited here. And same with the stars. They tell us a blueprint of our map. So we talk about your life path number, and we talk about the day that you're born, the year that you're born, your attitude in life. We talk about 4 phases of your life and like little chapters of energy that you're going to be going through. And then we talk, I love to concentrate on the North Node in astrology because it's your spiritual purpose or your consciousness purpose in this lifetime. It's like a little roadmap that we can help you so, so much. Oh my goodness. I always tell people, you won't be disappointed because this is like one of my passions. I love helping people down here. I just love to see the changes that they take. And I like to give a sense of excitement, inspiration, and also magic that they can do it, and to inspire them. So we talk about that in their North Node. And then I use my intuitive abilities and my galactic abilities to help them whatever rough points they're going on. I'm kind of like a coach that says, "Hey, this is the information I'm presenting to you. It's up to you how you're going to take that ball and make that touchdown." It's like, I can't do it for you, but I'm here to kind of say, well, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm feeling. And so it's an hour recording. You get the recording, and it's a sliding fee. It's on my website. And if you want to contact me for that, it's just called salostanleypsychic.com. salostanleypsychic.com. And there's a contact form. You just fill it out. It comes to me, and I shoot you some times, and it's fun. I'm a positive reader. I'm not here to scare you, because sometimes when we get bumps in the roads that we see, we'll just saying, "Hey, it's as Aleya said, you're going to take a little detour, or maybe just take a little time out. This time it's like the red light at this time or the month, and then this is the green light." That's all we're saying.
Right. It's like
You know.
knowing when to pause and rest and restore, and then knowing when to push forward. Because if we try to push forward on a red light, bad, bad. So if you have
Yes.
that roadmap of like, oh, this is my respite, sip
Yes.
tea, take baths.
Exactly. I tell people, hey, with that red light, you can try crossing the street, and sometimes you make it and sometimes you don't. So, and even though I know those things, I'm still kind of a little ornery chili pepper. I will still try crossing across that red light down here because I believe in magic, and sometimes I do really well and sometimes I don't, but it's part of the learning experience down here. It's part of that fun. That's my motto. If it ain't fun, don't do it. I know we have responsibilities, but if it ain't fun, don't do it. And I tell my patients, hey, if you get healed, it's your own darn fault. So
I love that. Well, and you're also so good about staying in the passion stream, right? So when it is play and it's not work and it's not drudgery, we're in the passion, we're in expansion. Now we receive and now we create a more harmonic vibration inside ourselves, ripple that in the world, and
all the time.
magnetically draw it to us.
All the time, because I do art busters, orgone busters, because orgone art wards off the negative 5G,
Yeah.
Frequencies that's out there, and any negative sound frequencies that are not harmonious. It will just actually bring positive vibes to your life. You can carry them. I make these wonderful little sacred geometry orgone busters with the sacred geometry and Metatron's cube, because sacred geometry is everything in the universe. Oh my God. And also you can just carry it in your pocket if you just yay!
I love it.
Hallelujah. It's a wonderful buster. And you're like one of the few big ones that I've made for people.
I
Only
know, I love
special.
this one. I have it right at my computer because it neutralizes all the EMFs.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. And when we had a tornado come through here about a year and a half ago, uh, the tornado came in our backyard and actually took the roofs out of two of our backyard neighbors, and then took the roof off the other neighbor. But it went down both driveways on the side of our house, and our house was not destroyed. But then the house across the street, their roof got damaged too. And I was talking to you on the phone, and I was saying I think it had a lot to do with the orgone art
Right. Because
that is here.
it literally creates shields.
It did.
Yeah.
And I can attest to that and we've been having some tornadoes come through this week, and we have not. And now, when I first got here, it was the grids that we worked was very small, and now they've gone to the south part of town. I think we're out about 15 miles. I think the energy now that I've been here since 5 years, because now our west side where I live doesn't get affected by the storms. They're all like now on the south part of the town
That's amazing.
coming
So
through.
I mean, yeah, that's really cool. Very cool.
So just Google galactic light art on the internet. My shop should come up, my
Yeah.
Etsy shop.
Your
Say
Etsy store is
Salo.
amazing.
Yeah, I always put new stuff all the time because I love creating, and I'm on to new things too because I want to do some new colorful swing art and some wonderful spin art and some other good ideas that I have about, because I always like moving on to things. I don't like being bored, but I have been doing Oregon for a long time, and I have done resin art for 10 years. I mean, I've actually gotten my self mastery with that now,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's not easy heating it up, and the weather and bubbles. I mean, it makes it look easy that this is small and smooth, but I had to learn to use tools and Dremels and all sorts of other human tools that I'm not used to and stuff. So, but my guide said to stay away from power tools. So you got to be really grounded down here to
You
do
do
that.
have
You
to
get
be
yourself in
so
trouble.
grounded. I know. I saw a table saw the other day and I was like, maybe not that. Yeah.
That's right. I remember one of my friends that was making Native American flutes, and I said I wanted to take his workshop in Native American flutes, and he says, "Well, do you want to make flutes or do you want to play flutes?" And I said, "Why?" He says, "Well, I used to play flutes, but then when I started making them, I lost 3 fingers. So, like, do you want to make flutes or do you want to play flutes?" And I said, "I want to play flutes. So,
You're
will
a
you
little
make
bit
me
of a
one?"
better play. You play flute so well. So well.
Yeah,
You do.
oh yeah, that's the other thing I could talk about is my walking between worlds, because
Oh,
I'm
that's right.
walking but walking between worlds, and it's
Love
just a
that.
wonderful
Walking
little
between worlds. I love
yes,
that. I'm
it's an
gonna have to
hour
get
of
that.
hour of flute music and some drumming. It'll help ground you, but also take you to other places, because I believe they have codes in the universe, and
Yes, they
help
do.
you expand and to have magic in your life. It's about
Mhm.
having fun. And right now, people are just really kind of freaking out and having a lot of chaos, but that's part of what's going on. But you can create your bubble like you have on your property and your energetic fields, and just get that direction in life. So,
And
but I'm
be a
here.
positive bubble that ripples in the world.
Yes, be a positive bubble that ripples in the world. Don't be one that farts. So,
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I am in such gratitude for you taking the time to be on the podcast with me. And if you're open to it, I'd love to have you back on because there's so many conversations and so many places that I would love to go with you and share
oh,
with our
yeah.
readers and listeners and podcasters. And Salo, is there any last little pearl of wisdom you would like to share with the audience before we sign off?
Well, I would say that right now with these difficult times to, as Aleya says, to take that deep breath in to reset yourself and to know that all is well in the universe, within your universe, gets reflected on the outside. And I really just a really positive person that say, no matter how things look in the universe right now, I just know it's going to be okay. And that you can create your own magic and just bring out that 3-year-old that's within yourself and just create, because we are creators. And the more that you just have that joy and take a walk and make your art, write your journal, write a book, know that you can do it out there. It is there for you for the taking, because we had no beliefs in constructions, walls like when we were kids. And that's what we're all returning to right now, to know that you can do it. You got this.
Beautiful. To embrace the creative current.
Yes.
Thank you, Salo. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. You have been listening to the Cups of Consciousness show with me, Aleya Dao. Receive a free month of the Cups of Consciousness. Go to 7cupsofconsciousness.com. When you get your free month, you will get 5 cups a week for 4 weeks. You'll also receive access to a live Tall Cup of Consciousness session. Feel free to review the show. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Aho.